Okay.
It keeps breaking up.
Huh? I don't know.
That's what you sound like. I better hang up.
Okay. Hi, guys. I have a crazy thing for you guys today. We are going to be talking about a feast that was done. By the way, if you can't see me, please click on open an app, and it should open up the app on your channel. Also, let me know where you're from. Carol, let me know if you're on, so I know I can get going on this. Okay. We're going to go here, start a poll. Okay. Okay, you probably won't be able to actually answer the poll question until the end. But let's talk a little bit about what this feast day is. So this was done in September of 1465, regardless of what it says up above. And why I'm doing this is actually, it'll make sense. It'll make sense. And I am reading this out of a book called A Time and Place, and it's really quite interesting. If you're into medieval history, it's an interesting book. So this was held at a castle near the area near York, and this feast lasted for many days. So it just wasn't a single day feast. This was many days, and involved a whole lot of food. This was a major thing. Oops, I forgot one other thing. I was going to go live on Instagram too. My bad. Okay, so continuing on, they had 6,000 people attend this feast. So it was quite large. So not only did they have a mini day feast, but they had a lot of guests. George Neville was rich, was richer than God, and sought to prove it, or so he thought. And the feast was a display of all his earthly riches and heavenly power. He was the Archbishop of York, the Chancellor of England. He was the youngest son of Richard Neville, the 5th Earl of Salisbury. So yeah, getting into this feast. Now remember, I said there was lots of food. Hello. I don't know who else is in. Say hello. Participate in chat if there's chat going on. There were 300 quarters of wheat. Now, I don't know what the 3/4 means, but it sounds like a lot. There were 30 tons of ale, 100 tons of wine. There was Ipocras, which is a cordial wine flavored with spices. There was a 1/2 ton of that. There were 104 oxen served, 6 bulls, 1,000 mutton, which is sheep, 304 veals, which is young cows, 304 porkies. I'm assuming that is pig. Did I lose you? Because it says 0. 400 swans, 204 kids, 204 cranes, 2,000 chickens, 4,000 pigeons. Not sure what conies are, but there were 400 of those. 400 young herons, 200 pheasants, 200 or 500 partridges, 400 woodcocks, 100 curlews, 1,000 egrets, which is a type of heron. Oh, thank you. Or rabbits, okay. 1,000 capons, which is capons are rooster, I believe. They're a castrated capon, castrated animal. 2,000 geese, 2,000 pigs, 400 plovers, 1,200 quails, 2,400 sandpipers, 500 stags, bucks, and roes. Cold pastries of venison, baked cold custards, hot pastries of venison. So, venison covered in pastry, 1,500. Hot custards, 2,000. Pikes and brims, which is fish, 308. 12 porpoises and seals. Yes, I said seals. And spices, sugar delicacies, and wafers. So, a lot of stuff that we don't think of being typical food, but back in the Middle Ages, a lot of stuff was was game. They ate without any worry of the ecosystem. Yes, apparently. And I don't think they ate it all the time, especially not your poor people probably didn't eat it, but the rich might have had it at their big feast. I would need to actually check out. I know other cultures like the Inuits and some of the tribes up in Alaska and other areas, they do eat whale. Um, as part of their natural diet, their diet, and they are allowed to do so. I I don't know how they served it. I really don't want to know how they served it. We can maybe look that up. No, we can't because I'm live. It would have been, I don't know. It's like eating seals. We don't think of eating seals, but in other places they do. We don't know how these things were prepared. We just know that they had them. The birds, I'm assuming, were probably roasted, maybe put into some type of pie type thing, because that was common back in the day, was to put meats in a crust, and then you would eat it like sort of like a pie. That was fairly common. Um, I guess they really like their meats because there's not much mention of vegetables, but one would assume that probably there were. There was also a lot of wine. They did indeed drink water. Um, Again, though, this was about showing off this guy's wealth, so I guess that's part of it. They don't tell us what was eaten with the custards. Um, just that they served it. And I've done enough reading to know that during the Middle Ages, as much as we think that they didn't use spices, they did. Uh, and not all of it was used to cover up the taste of the meat. Certainly, that was not the case because they would flaunt the fact that they had spices. Some spices were more prevalent than others. By the time we came to America, nutmeg was very common. They definitely had spices, and so the history of food. This is a time when a lot of foods are entering Europe. They would have had garlic by this time. They were probably growing garlic in definitely by the 1500s. They were growing garlic in Britain. A lot of stuff came with the Romans when they entered. So, yeah, very interesting time period. This is a time period where a lot of foods were coming in, new foods. Oh, okay. Okay. Cool beans. I had no idea. I will give you like I'll give you 100 for that. Hopefully that's not costing anybody money. Um yeah. pretty amazing to think about. The different foods, cabbage, carrots, some foods that were entering the area were looked upon differently than they are now. For instance, in Rome, onions and garlic were seen as something of foods that were sort of reserved for the poor. It was considered starvation food for the rich. Taters would have been a thing, but they also would have had rutabaga, parsnips came in before the potato and would have been a little bit more common. Tomatoes, yeah, tomatoes. A lot of things came in through Italy to begin with because that's where your traders were. So sometimes it would go Spain, Portuguese, or even Spain. So Spain, Portugal, Italy, and then it would cross from France and then Britain, or sometimes Rome to Britain, depending upon what the Romans brought into the country. Yeah, they were, because they were basically a nightshade, which is interesting because potatoes are a nightshade too. Tomatoes, eggplant, pepper, I think, are all considered to be within that species, within that group. And I don't have right in front of me a history of when everything came in, but yeah. And some foods like garlic were also raised for health purposes. Yes, they are. To also potatoes. Potatoes were a South American before they were ever anything anyplace else. I'm not sure on peppers. Peppers may have been a I know that peppers are native to tropical America,
And Africa.
but they may have been moved that way. So, yes, potatoes are from the Andes. They would have been grown by the Inca, among other people. Hello? But food has an interesting history. It's interesting to see where things like apples are Eurasian, probably more Asian, or east, not east, west, sort of the western region, in places where what used to be Russian, I believe. if I remember my history correctly. But what's interesting with the garlic is we think of the big, like the big clove of garlic, the head of garlic. But there was garlic here in the North American area, continents, that the indigenous people had. It's not a big, it's like maybe one or two cloves, and they're small, but man, do they have, yeah, Kazakhstan. Man, do they have some serious, like once you bite into one of those cloves, you know what you've been hit with. Your neighbors will know what you got into. My understanding is you don't drink the milk from a cow that has gotten into the wild garlic. And they left. Maybe. But a lot of things seem to have moved from the east to the west in most cases. Maybe not every case, but in some cases. Some things have actually gone from the south. By south, I mean North America, South America, and then around the world. Like rice has been introduced into North America twice. Once by the British, sort of a sad story. There was a ship that had left Portuguese, or not Portuguese, sorry. There was a British ship that had left Madagascar. It was a slave ship, but they had rice on board, and they supposedly they had an issue down by down by the Carolinas, and the people there repaired the ship, and in gratitude they gave them some rice, and they ended up planting it. But during the war, that is the Revolutionary War, the British sort of took the rice, and that ended for a while the American trade in rice. And then Thomas Jefferson went into Italy, smuggled some rice from Italy, and brought it back, and that restarted America's trade with rice. We were actually exporting rice. I don't know if we still do. We might. It's not a crop you think of being like American, but at the time, I find the history of food videos interesting because it's sort of a blend between the part of me that loves like plants and ethnobotany, and I can swing it a little bit to cover the history of the foods. Sometimes they're a little bit dry videos, but I'm hoping to change that a little bit. We'll see. I have a new format or a new program I'm going to try using here and there. just to spice things up every once in a while. I don't know how it's going to work, but we'll see. Hello, good evening to everybody that is in chat. Let me know where you're from if you can. If you can't see chat, but you can hear me, up in the corner you'll see a thing that says open an app. Click on that and it should take you into YouTube, and you should be able to participate in chat and all of the fun that's going on. Nobody on Instagram, which is cool. Hi, Instagram. So what? There are so many plants that I want to try. I want to give jackfruit another try. I don't want to try durian. That one sort of scares me. That one really scares me. And I love fruit, but that one scares me. Just saying. I know in some places it might be considered a delicacy, but I'm got a Western palate, and that's not happening. I want to try peanut butter fruit, I think is what it's called. I want to try strawberry guava. I've had the regular guava. I want to try. I've had rambutan. How to describe rambutan for those of you that don't know? Rambutan is a fruit that has a very thin skin, and it looks like it has hairs coming off of it. It is so good. It has the look and feel, the texture of like a grape, but not a grape. As far as flavor goes, there is a seed. You don't eat the seed, obviously, but it also is in the same family as leche, which is sort of the same thing. You have to peel the fruit, and then you can eat it. I want to try snake fruit. Sort of looks like an armadillo or a pangolin with the scales. There's more bananas than just the yellow banana that we get in our grocery store. I want to try some of the other more exotic bananas. I should do a fruit tasting thing, because there are so many like exotic fruits that are out there that we just don't really eat because we're not exposed to them or we can't afford them. Cactus fruit, prickly pear cactus fruit, so good. Dragon fruit, the one I had, really not that great. I've been told that it's better when it's right off the plant compared to buying it in the store because they pick it unripe. So that's the thing. But yeah. I don't know. It's definitely, if you can get some of that stuff. Passion fruits. Most of us have probably had the juice and we don't really know it. Is basically like eating a pomegranate, where the seeds have this the fruit is hollow, so you cut it open and it's hollow, and then you eat the little fleshy thing around the seeds. Yeah. And there's lots of different species of that. We even have one here in the United States. It's called Maypop. I've never had it, but I have had what I think is the king of fruits, and that's our native pawpaw. That is so good. Take a banana with custard. I'm trying to think what other flavors are in there. But it's when it's ripe, it's a very soft fruit. You can eat it with a spoon. It is the best. But the problem with it is it doesn't store well. And so if you have wild plants, you got to fight the animals to get your pawpaw. So it's sort of a race. But there's a lot of fruits, even here in the United States. Like my yard, we have a fruit. It's called black chalupa. It's not worth eating, but if you could get enough of the berries, you could juice it, and then you'd have to add lots of sugar to it. But I could see where it could be interesting. Black raspberries are one of the local fruits that you can get that are really good. If you can find where it grows, it's worth it. Blackberries, if you can get enough of the fruit off of it to make it worth your while, very good. Wild blueberries, excellent. I don't know if we have huckleberry growing in Indiana, but oh, it's okay. Um, I've been talking about fruits that you can eat. Didn't even realize you left. I'm just running my mouth. I'm good at that. Ask any of my family. I'm good at running my mouth. That's why I thought this would be such an easy thing. Yeah, cactus fruit is good. The problem with it tends to be if you aren't careful, you can give yourself you can really do yourself a not it's not a good thing. You can end up giving yourself prickles all over your mouth. The glockids are a real issue. If you've ever got into prickly pear, you know what I'm talking about. The fruits that we have around here, they don't get very big. Um, yeah, and basically that's sort of what you get when you drink passion fruit. It's just this little sac around the seed. Um, I want to try vanilla bean, or no, it's not vanilla bean. It's ice cream bean, and it's basically a large like pod, and you eat the white fluffy stuff around the seed, and it is supposed to taste just like um just like ice cream, vanilla ice cream. The cactus, the cactus has thorns on it. Is that what you're talking about? Yeah. Yeah, the any of the prickly pear fruits, even the ones in the store, you have to sometimes watch. They'll have little areas where the glockids grow, and you can take a knife to them. The Indians would have probably burned them off, maybe, and then cut it in half and ate it. I've never seen the native cactus to know how big the fruits are, but they don't look very big. Another word for the eastern prickly pear is Indian fig. There's so much. There are other avocados that are so different from the ones we buy in the store. But like I mentioned earlier, avocado has it rough. There isn't an animal that is really geared towards eating them. That animal sadly died out. And so, yeah. I don't know if Mastodon ate it or not, but I know the giant ground sloths are said to have. Lots of different cactus fruits would have been eaten. Saguaro cactus would have been eaten. The fruit of it, anyway. I don't know if every cactus had edible fruits, so I don't want to give that away and tell you guys that that's the case and have you go out, eat it, and die. So yeah, do what I always suggest and look stuff up. Do your research. Better yet, find somebody that knows knows the plants in that area to take you out. That's always fun. Up here we have pawpaw, but it's more common, I think, in southern Indiana. But there are places up here in northern Indiana where you can find it. But if somebody is smart, they will not tell you where the trees are. If they're smart. But there's a lot of foods that we miss out on. No, pawpaw doesn't have thorns on it. I don't even think papaya has thorns on it. I don't think. I don't know what. If you're talking from the Jungle Book, I have no idea what that is. But I don't think pawpaw has thorns on it.
No.
I know the native pawpaw doesn't. But I don't know what Baloo is talking about in that song. But no, pawpaw is it tastes tropical without being tropical. It even sort of looks like a rainforest plant. But it's not. Ow, I just got myself on a pencil. Always doing that. If we could grow that on farms and figure out a way to make it where we could store it, somebody would be rich. Very rich. Because pawpaw is better than banana, it's better than mango, and I love mango. Like they say that Dorian, is it Dorian or is it jackfruit that they call the king of fruits? Pawpaw is worthy of that title, I think. It does have sort of big seeds, but still, I think there's plenty of fruit on it. Pomegranate's okay. Kiwi is okay, but honestly, there's a yellow kiwi. I honestly think the yellow kiwi is a little bit sweeter than the green kiwi. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just me. But we live in a day and age where you can get your hands on a lot of different stuff. What time is it? Okay. It is after 7 o'clock. I need to go because I have other stuff that I have to get done. Thank you for coming in. I will see you on Friday. Goodbye.